Do you all retire if you lose?
Yes. You know,
Really?
there is a point in every fighter's life that they will reach when they can't go any further. If I can't beat Conor Benn now, then I've reached my ceiling. Which is why this fight is so deathly important to me. Because I don't want to retire. I don't want to give up. I don't want to sail off into the sunset. I still have things to achieve.
Chris Eubank Jr. isn't holding back. If he loses to Conor Benn, it's over. He's made it clear. This isn't just another fight. It's a make-or-break, career-defining moment. The stakes have never been higher, and Eubank Jr. is putting it all on the line. A loss doesn't just mean a dent in his record. It signals the end of his boxing journey. But it's not just the fight itself that's intense. The pressure is mounting from every direction. Benn, stepping up 2 weight classes, isn't just taking a gamble. He's coming with intent, with aggression, with something to prove. Eubank Jr., meanwhile, faces the double threat of expectation and physical strain. The looming hydration clause could be the wild card, the very thing that disrupts his focus and compromises his game plan. Analyst Fisher doesn't mince words. He calls the clause a massive factor that could derail Eubank Jr.'s rhythm. The question is, can Eubank Jr. weather the storm if Benn's relentless?
When he's doing
Yeah,
he's
I
got
agree,
his line.
I agree.
He's very smart. He's got his line. You are a drugs cheat. I'm facing a drugs cheat. I'm the hero in this. I'm the hero for facing a drugs cheat, and I'm going to put this drugs cheat straight because you're a drugs cheat. If someone took a syringe, bent you over, and you're there, and they're putting it in your ass, as he said, and they're syringing it into you, and you didn't know what it was, you're still a drug cheat because you're responsible for doing what is done to your body.
Pressure comes crashing through his defenses. This isn't just a contest of size or strength. It's a battle for survival. Eubank Jr. has been vocal about the psychological toll, but when it's time to deliver, can he handle Benn's fire, hunger, and raw power? The answer may define the rest of his career. This fight has all the makings of a war for the ages. One man will crumble, the other will rise under the brightest of spotlights. Meanwhile, commentator Gareth A. Davies doesn't hold back. He rips into Conor Benn, framing Eubank Jr. as the clear favorite. He doesn't just criticize, he slams Benn as a drugs cheat, calling his public image a parody. Davies mocks Benn's efforts to paint himself as the hero, calling it laughable. According to him, no spin can change the fact. Benn is responsible for what enters his body. In contrast, Eubank Jr. stands tall, undaunted, disciplined, and ready for the biggest challenge of his life. This fight could very well reveal who truly deserves to be called a champion, who will rise.
Chris Eubank is the favourite for the good reason that he's been fought at the higher level and he is naturally the bigger man. But that man Benn has got some ire and got some danger in him, and he will be even more dangerous when that first bell sounds on April the 26th.
And who will fall. Drop your predictions in the comments, and don't forget to like the video. It's no surprise that many, including Adi Oladipo, see Chris Eubank Jr. as the favorite, and for good reason. Eubank has fought elite-level opponents and carries the advantage of size, strength, and experience. He's battle-tested and knows what it takes to survive high-stakes showdowns. But Conor Benn is no pushover. Benn brings raw, explosive power and a relentless aggression that could flip the script at any moment. When the first bell rings on April 26th, expect a new level of intensity from him. This isn't just about weight or ring experience. Benn's hunger, energy, and will to prove himself may be the true game-changer. Eubank may have the pedigree, but the question remains.
Charged at you on the pitch.
Honestly, a swear down, not at all.
Not at all.
Look at Eddie's reaction versus mine.
You did look chilled, I've got to be honest, because we just talked about your personality.
I think I've stuck my hand out, which you would do, taking a step back, and was going to crack him. And then
I was going to crack him. You didn't stop smiling either, so you didn't flinch. And yeah, Eddie, Eddie Hill was a
and
bit
then
worried.
Eddie turned around like the guy in the playground, like he always is, starts pointing and laughing. Anyway, it was funny. I enjoyed it.
Can he withstand Ben's storm? Or will Ben's fire burn brighter than Eubank's composure? One thing's for sure. This fight promises fireworks, and the outcome is anything but certain. Meanwhile, Ben Shalom didn't mince words in his interview with Carl Fruck, making it clear he's standing firmly behind this clash and the electric energy it's bringing to the boxing world. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn is shaping up to be more than just a fight. It's a clash layered with tension, drama, and personal stakes. As Carl Fruck brought up the incident where Ben charged at promoter Ben Shalom, one thing became crystal clear. Shalom's composure is unmatched. While Eddie Hearn laughed and played the role of the schoolyard bully, pointing fingers and stirring the pot, Shalom stood firm, unshaken, unbothered.
And Chris Eubank Sr. was pushing very hard for that should be the fight with the Benn family, not his son,
Harlem.
Chris Eubank.
Listen, if go on, sorry.
Well, I was going to say that we could well see a Ben Eubank 4 if Ben succeeds in a way against Chris Eubank or puts up.
And not willing to engage in petty theatrics. His calm presence sent a message. He's not here for drama, and he won't let Ben or Hearn rattle him. Meanwhile, Eubank Jr. is laser-focused. With Shalom's support and the boxing world's respect behind him, he's entering the ring with one mission: dominate. But the burning question remains: when that bell rings, can Conor Benn handle the heat, or will the pressure finally break him? On the flip side, Adam Catterall is diving deep into the personal feud fueling this fight. He's not just analyzing the matchup, he's tearing into the family dynamics between the Eubanks and the Benns. Catterall calls out the hypocrisy of Chris Eubank Sr., who pushed hard for a generational clash with the Benn family, yet seemed to stall when it came to backing his own son in making it happen. According to Catterall, the contradictions in the Eubank camp are
It may be a very disappointing fight if we find out when Chris steps in there against Conor that he is much, much too big for him. But I think they'll play 12 rounds and I think we'll get 2 fights. I just have this.
Possible to ignore. But it doesn't stop there. Catterall throws fuel on the fire by teasing the potential for Benn versus Eubank IV, especially if Conor Benn pulls off a shock victory or even puts on a strong showing. This fight, he argues, is just one chapter in a much larger saga, one that could go down as one of boxing's all-time rivalries. And while the hype builds, Catterall warns of a looming risk, the glaring weight difference between the two fighters. He doesn't shy away from the possibility that it could turn this fiery showdown into a lopsided affair, overshadowing the legacy both men are chasing. Still, with the stakes sky high, April 26th is poised to be a night the boxing world won't forget. Adam Catterall doesn't hold back. He cranks up the intensity with a bold prediction that, despite Chris Eubank Jr.'s overwhelming size advantage, this fight could go the full 12 rounds. That possibility throws a curveball into the mix, keeping fans on edge and questioning.
I think it's a mismatch on paper, of course it is. It's a fella that won a British title at welterweight, who hasn't boxed for a long time, against a faded world-class middleweight, so I haven't really got any interest, to be honest.
Egg slap not get you excited for us?
Not really, no. I'm not really an excitable guy.
How it might all unfold. Catterall's gut feeling casts a shadow of uncertainty, raising doubts about whether this bout will truly deliver. The question looms: can Conor Benn's heart and skill stand up to Eubank Jr.'s power and size, or will this much-hyped clash collapse under the weight of its own expectations? But that's not all. Dave Allen enters the conversation with a verbal haymaker, tearing apart the narrative behind Eubank versus Benn. To Allen, this isn't a legacy-defining rematch, it's a farce. He dismisses the whole event as a mismatch between a weathered middleweight clinging to relevance and a welterweight still trying to make his mark. Allen blasts the fight as a clickbait cash grab, a hollow spectacle lacking any real sporting merit. He doesn't stop there. Allen tears into the nostalgic marketing, mocking the recycled family names being used to sell tickets. In his eyes, this isn't a genuine rivalry. It's a pantomime, parading around as elite boxing.
I felt sorry for Junior because he is a 34-year-old man at the time. He wants his own thing. His father is always going to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
I think he's right to make his own decisions.
Simon, I see exactly what you're saying because Nigel has stood back from Connor's career and Chris Senior was right in the front at the beginning. And I think it's great that Junior is walking his own path.
So do I.
However, they have had horrendous tragedy.
While dragging the sport into the mud. The talent gap, he says, is glaring and insulting to true fight fans. And just when it couldn't get more explosive, Steve Collins drops a bombshell of his own. In a brutal, no-holds-barred exposé, he rips into the chaotic dynamics surrounding Chris Eubank Jr.'s career. To Collins, this fight represents far more than boxing. It's a desperate struggle for freedom, identity, and self-determination. Collins doesn't sugarcoat it. He points to the toxic father-son relationship at the heart of Eubank's struggles, claiming it sabotaged his development and turned his career into a battlefield beyond the ring. As April 26th approaches, one thing is clear. This isn't just about titles or legacy. It's about redemption, truth, and who walks away with more than just a win. The toxic dynamic between Chris Eubank Jr. and his father has crippled his growth as a fighter, while Conor Benn has flourished, carving out his own legacy with Nigel Benn stepping aside. Eubank Jr. has been suffocated.
But I think with Chris, this is purely business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much. No. But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on London High Street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice. No. It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily. And you just, it gets to it's an intense build.
By a father who refuses to let him emerge from his shadow. Steve Collins doesn't just talk about what happens in the ring. He highlights the deeper battle Eubank Jr. is fighting, one against his own blood. According to Collins, the legacy passed down by Eubank Sr. has become less of a foundation and more of a prison. Collins also hints at the emotional weight dragging Eubank Jr. down, suggesting that personal tragedies within the family may be burdening him more than the public realizes. The burning question remains: can Eubank Jr. ever break free from his father's grasp? Or is he destined to remain trapped in a legacy not fully his own? On the flip side, Tony Bellew dives headfirst into the chaos surrounding the Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn clash. For Bellew, this isn't just a fight. It's a grudge match fueled by years of raw hatred. He makes it clear, this isn't about belts or legacy. It's about rage, pride, and unfinished business. Bellew even warns that the bad blood is so intense, even the press conference could erupt into violence. The tension is...
I think it's going to be a very good fight. Conor has punching power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's the bigger guy, but Conor does have exceptional punching power, so it's going to be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor is a great puncher.
That real. Drawing from his own experiences with fierce rivalries, Bellew stresses how emotional warfare like this can break a fighter mentally before the opening bell ever rings. With so much on the line, this is more than a fight. It's a psychological war waiting to explode. This fight is more than just punches. It's psychological warfare. One slip in focus could shred a fighter's strategy, throwing their entire game plan into chaos. This mental pressure could either unleash a relentless fury or crush them completely under its weight. The real question is whether either man can maintain control of their mind when the spotlight hits. When that moment comes, this won't just be a boxing match, it'll be a savage street war disguised in gloves. Roy Jones Jr. isn't mincing words. He's calling this a high-stakes chess match with the potential to erupt into full-blown chaos. While he gives Chris Eubank Jr. the edge due to his size, skill, and experience, Roy refuses to overlook the terrifying wild card, Conor Benn's raw, violent power. Eubank may be the more polished technician, but if he lets his guard down for even a second, Benn could end it with a single shot. Roy doesn't see this being a clean cruise for Eubank. In fact, he predicts the early rounds will be an absolute war zone, and one mistake could change everything. Roy also challenges the narrative that Eubank is untouchable. If Benn lands flush, the momentum could swing in an instant. Still, Roy believes Eubank can win, but only if he fights smart from the opening bell. There's no room for ego, no margin for error. One blink, one misstep, and it could be lights out. The countdown is ticking. The moment of truth is near. Like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on this explosive rivalry.